and welcome to the Tao of Our Understanding Recovery Podcast. In this podcast, we discuss mystical works of literature and how they relate to recovery. We hope you enjoy today's podcast episode.
Hello, this is Buddy C. Welcome to the Tao of Understanding Recovery Podcast. Today we have Heidi and Brian and Drew and Oscar. Good to have you guys today. Heidi, we're glad you could make it back. It's been a while since you've been here, dear. Good to have you.
Thank you.
I want to talk about a benefit first, or just a resource for you. Transitionsdaily.org is a resource that you may want to put to use. There's several things on the website, but what started Transitions Daily was a daily email that goes out with most, if not all, the daily AA readers. As Bill sees it, 24 hours, daily reflections, all those things, plus an acronym and some other things. The gentleman, Clint Weiss, started that back around 2000-ish or so. Now it has 22,000 people who get the email every day, plus there's a podcast that you can listen to someone from around the world read. And matter of fact, I'm reading this month. You can look for Transitions Daily in your podcast aggregator. And then we have a private Facebook group if you want to go and discuss those things. That we have there's thousands of people in the Facebook group. And the email list is never shared. It's never marketed to any of that. This is actually an online AA group with a number that makes regular donations. Actually, at Transitions Daily, you can take a look at the finances. Everything's there for you. It's for you to review for the last several years, actually. So I wanted to make that available. I like to talk about one a week. One new thing I want to do is start. So much of the Tao is about synchronicity and getting into that virtuous flow of life. So I thought it'd be good for, out of the folks attending, to share a moment of synchronicity they've had where things have just lined up so far beyond what they could do themselves that there has to be something at work here that we don't understand or able to explain. Starting us off with that this week is Heidi. Heidi, you have a moment to share with us?
I do. I think I've shared this with you before, Buddy, but I was coming to Michigan. I live up here now, but I was visiting, and I'm really into something called Kriya Yoga. It's a type of, like the Tao. Anyways, you don't find many people that practice Kriya Yoga. And I had come up here and was visiting my boyfriend, and he's like, get an appointment with my massage therapist. So it was at her house, and I walked down into her basement, and she had pictures of all of these Kriya yogis in her basement. And I was like, girl, are you a Kriya yogi? And she's like, yeah. And so it was amazing. Like, I've moved up here and I've made a connection with someone that's really into that. And then also, you have your synchronicity numbers, like your angel numbers. Mine has been 911. I see it everywhere. I see it almost every day, at least two times a day. I'll see 911. And I was calling her, and her phone number has 911 in it. So I don't know, it just all had lined up so well, and I knew that couldn't have been from anybody else but God. So that's my story.
Thank you, Heidi. That's a good one, dear. But you guys make note if anything has happened in the past or anything that comes up. I think those things are happening behind the scenes all the time, and we just don't even. I really feel I'm Mr. Magoo my way through life. I'm really dating myself, but you know who Mr. Magoo was, Heidi? The cartoon?
Nobody, I don't.
I watched it on reruns, okay?
Okay.
There was reruns when I was watching it. It wasn't. Mr. Magoo couldn't see real well. And so he would drive along and things would happen to keep him on the road, and there'd be a big construction hole and a board would come over just in time for him to roll by, all that kind of thing. And I believe a lot of times life is just that way, and I don't even realize when I'm taken care of that we can get into this virtuous flow of life, this expansion that's happening all the time, and just ride that wave. Ride that wave. Good. How about you, Oscar? Did you know who Mr. Magoo was? You ever seen those cartoons? No?
I have no idea.
I'll send you a YouTube so you can see who I'm talking about. I'll send it to you too, Heidi.
I'm looking
Okay,
forward.
yeah.
I'm looking forward.
All right. We're on page 48 in the Thomas Merton interpretation of Chuang Tzu. It's pages 48 and 49 is the story of the man with one foot and the marsh pheasant. Who would like to read this for us?
I'll do it.
Thank you, Drew.
Kung Wen Xian saw a maimed official whose left foot had been cut off, a penalty in the political game. What kind of man, he cried, is this one-footed oddity? How did he get that way? Shall we say man did this, or heaven? Heaven, he said. This comes from heaven, not from man. When heaven gave this man life, it willed he should stand out from others, and sent him into politics to get himself distinguished. See, 1 foot, this man is different. The little marsh pheasant must hop 10 times to get a bite of grain. She must run 100 steps before she takes a sip of water. Yet she does not ask to be kept in a hen run, though she might have all she desired set before her. She would rather run and seek her own little living uncaged.
Thank you, Drew. This one's going to have to sink in for a moment. I had to sit with this one. If anyone has any comments, speak up.
Everything is perfect as it is.
And make note, the man has 1 foot because someone cut it off, not because he was born with 1 foot.
But it has to be.
I'm open to that, Oscar.
God is either everything or he's nothing.
Okay.
So everything is everything, right? So heaven is everything. Man is nothing.
It could say it could also could maybe mean that either everything is in this moment or everything's not. My fear is not in this moment. Okay, so we've got a maimed official. This is our man with 1 foot. His left foot was cut off as a penalty. So it was cut off with a bad intention. I know there's other stories where they cut off both feet for the guys that were in the toll booth so that they would stay there. What kind of man, he cried, is this 1 foot oddity? So this was not a normal thing? How did he get that way? Oh, he's asking the same question that we're not to ask. Why? Who sinned, this man or his parents? Why is he born blind? Why? How did he get this way? Shall we say man did this or heaven? We know man cut the foot off, but could it be any other way? That's what you're saying, Oscar, that it couldn't be any other way. That man may have cut it off, but man only did that because it was how it was supposed to be. Okay. And the response, I guess this is Chuang Tzu talking about this. Oh, Brian, go ahead.
Buddy, I was just thinking that about expanding on what Oscar said. I'm hearing some life on life's terms and not dwelling in it, having a pity party, and just accepting what is in this moment as the pathway to peace.
Thank you, Brian. So we've got Kung when seen. I'm butchering that. I'm calling him Kung. Is seeing the official who has the left foot cut off, and he's asking, Kung's asking, I guess he's asking Lao Tzu or Chuang Tzu maybe for some clarification. Okay, this man's got 1 foot. How did he get that way? Did man do this or heaven? He knew, obviously, I'm sure he knew that it was cut off by a man, but why is this happening? Did man do this or heaven? And Chuang Tzu said, heaven did it, even though a man cut it off. That goes to what you were talking about, Oscar. Heaven did it. This comes from heaven, not from man. When heaven gave this man life, it willed he should stand out from others and send him into politics to get himself distinguished, to get his foot cut off. See, 1 foot, this man is different.
Buddy, I wonder if medically something could have happened to him and he needed to have his foot removed.
I don't think so, Brian, because it says
Oh.
it was a penalty for the political gain.
Yeah,
So
that's true.
what I'm thinking is, which is always an issue, we never know the outcome of the situations we're in life. We like to think this is good, this is bad, but we don't know what the true outcome's going to be. We can only judge it in that moment. In that moment, if I'm getting my foot cut off, that's a bad thing. I can't sit there and say, well, let's see what kind of good comes out of it. No, I don't want my foot cut off. But in hindsight, there's been many situations that I thought were bad things. For example, the reason, we're all here because we're in recovery in some phase. Was my alcoholism a good thing? When I was in detox and I was struggling for years and suicidal and all those things, I would have said, hell no, this is not a good thing. But in hindsight, it's been a blessing for me, really. And the reason it brought me to a point of surrender that I would not have experienced any other way. Because if I could have done anything other than let go, that's what I did. That's what kept me in and out for 5 years. I couldn't let go. I couldn't just stop the fight. Oscar?
I also think it's about perception. So you can look at it from 2 points of view. And if you look from the point of view with a judgment which says something is good or something is bad, it is made by man, so we have control over it. And if something goes wrong, we have our resentments, and we are really in self-will, right? You don't want this to happen, so you manipulate and you lie so it doesn't happen, and you try your best to have a good life and to get everything perfect as you want it to be. So you have a kind of idea what is going to be perfect, and you try to get this because you have the assumption that you're going to be happy then. The other point of view, which I think Chuang Tzu is here trying to establish, is it is as it is, and your happiness you find within the given fact that things are as they are. So for us as human beings, it means our happiness is not somewhere else. It's not with anything else. We are sitting on it in the present moment, inside ourselves, the big reality within. That's our happiness. And it has nothing to do with 1 foot or 2 foot or my arms or my body, or it has nothing to do with it. It's something in the spiritual realm of this world. So it's a change of perception in my yeah, that's how I see it. Thanks.
Thank you, Oscar. Drew?
I have a thought. Oh, sorry.
Okay.
Oh, go ahead, Heidi.
Yeah, go ahead, dear.
Okay, sorry. I was just thinking along the same lines as Oscar. How I saw it though was like I have everything that I've desired put in front of me, like things that are outside of me, like that I've money and good food and like coffee and nicotine and all of these things that like make me feel good. And it reminds me of like a renunciate. that like I can have all of those things, but I would rather have the seeking of God inside of me to, that's like the ultimate goal for me. It's not those outside sources. It's all the things that I would rather seek God than have all of those things and move towards an enlightened state. That's all I got.
Thanks, Heidi. Drew.
Yeah, the thoughts I had about this was similar to Oscar and Heidi when it's talking about the bird. What is it?
The pheasant.
Marsh pheasant. Yeah.
Yeah.
But saying that she could be kept in a hen run and have everything that she needs, but she'd rather live out in nature and have to actually work to get one grain of rice, or grain of whatever, and have to work to get some water. And I think the comparison with the politician is the politician could have chosen to live a very safe life, not get into politics, because if you get into politics, you run the risk of losing a foot. But he led the life that was most meaningful for him. Lived in his own path of virtue, lived through the Tao, and suffered for it. He lost his foot, but he was living his natural life. He didn't seek complete safety. He could have, but then he wouldn't have been living his natural life. And that all reminded me of animals that are kept in zoos. A lot of zoos are getting better. They're providing good environments for their animals. A lot of them aren't. And the animals that are kept in really poorly run zoos often exhibit signs of depression. They have everything they need. They have food, they have water, they have safety, but a lot of them will injure themselves on purpose just to feel something. They'll scrape their heads against a rock to hurt themselves just because it's at least something different. And the term for that is zoochosis. And I've seen that term applied to people who just seek safety in doing the same thing over and over, not risking anything, not going out into the world, not trying something new, and that leading to a form of depression and can lead to addiction. And just because if you're living the life of an addict, hey, at least you're feeling something. You may be feeling depression, injuring yourself by using those sorts of things. Hey, you're feeling something. So that's just kind of the lesson I take from this is go out and live, risk it. There's not much living naturally if you're just staying inside a cage, being fed, getting water, being safe. That's not a natural life. Gotta no pain, no gain, no risk, no reward, whatever you want to say. I think that's the meaning of this, at least for me, is not to focus on my own security, but to focus on what I feel nature, God, the Tao are calling me to do. Thanks.
Thanks, Drew. But it doesn't say that he got into politics for good reasons. He could have got into politics for purely wrong, bad motives. So we don't know that. But we do know that Chuang Tzu is saying that what happened to him was the will of something greater than himself. That it was willed from heaven, is how Chuang Tzu saw it. This is verse 73, and this is the MacDonald translation. Being overbold in confidence deadly. The wise use of caution will keep you alive. One is the way to death, the other is the way to preserve your life. Who can understand the workings of heaven? The Tao of the universe does not compete yet wins, does not speak yet responds, does not command yet is obeyed, does not act but is good at directing. The nets of heaven are wide, but nothing escapes its grasp. It reminds me, too, of how everything in my life can work into something good. There's actually, I know I've talked about it multiple times. Romans 8 talks about that every detail of our lives of love can work into something good, works in something good. And I think it's the same way in this regard, in that there's things that happen that seem to be the result of my own decisions, and very well could be. They appear to be, but yet I see, just like water always seeks the lowest point and always runs with gravity every time, I believe my life every time is continually working into something good. May not be the way I want it to work or the way I envisioned it working, but it always works into something good. I've seen that to be the case for me. It's, can I find gratitude in this? What good came out? There's not a situation that I know of that good cannot come from it. Not necessarily the situation itself, but you can see how, in hindsight, how looking backwards, you can see how that's happened. And I like the way, Drew, you brought in the pheasant. We haven't talked about the pheasant yet. The little marsh must hop 10 times to get a bite of grain. She must run 100 steps before she takes a sip of water. Yet she does not ask to be kept in a hen run, though she might have all she desired set before her. She would rather run and seek her own little living uncaged. And I think you did a good job explaining that, Drew. She wants to make her own way. And I've seen that in my life. Businesses that I've been involved in, some worked, some didn't. Some cost me a lot of money, and some made me money. I could have sat on the sideline and kept my job at the soap factory and then went to work somewhere else when it shut down and not done all these things.
Is that a metaphor? Did you really work at a soap factory?
I did. Lever Brothers, soap and whisk detergents back in the 90s. I was a boiler operator, actually.
Oh, well.
I didn't know if you said soap or sofa.
No. Soap. S-O. You should be able to understand me, Brian.
Yeah,
Soap.
still a little fuzzy. Yeah.
So we made whisk and surf detergents.
Okay.
I left there when my son was born. They shut down a few years later, but still, I can look back and I don't regret not making the more challenging decisions with my vocations.
Maybe I'm not understanding this the way that y'all are. Like, elaborate a little bit more.
That I was comparing that to this man with one foot, that as a result, he went into politics. He was not successful. That's why his foot's cut off. Then they're asking, why is this man's foot cut off? Was it man that did this, or did God do this, or heaven do this? And Chuang Tzu says heaven did it, not man. When, let's say heaven's God. Let's just say that for simplicity. God didn't come down and chop his foot off. A man did it. As a result of his actions, as a result of the politician's actions, he got his foot cut off, is the way I read it.
Yeah.
So how can you say that God did it when clearly a man, I guess, picked up an axe and cut his foot off? Ever how they did that. And Chuang Tzu's response was that when heaven gave this man life, it willed he should stand out from others, and that God sent him into politics, and that God wanted his foot cut off, is the way I read that. And,
Well, what about the pheasant? That's what I don't understand.
oh, the pheasant. Now, okay, the comparison between the two that I see, and you guys correct me, please, or if you see it differently, the pheasant didn't want to just sit safe like the man who could have just got a job and been safe instead of going into politics. The pheasant wants to be uncaged too, seek its own life, and
Oh,
have that freedom, just like the man went into politics and had his freedom.
oh,
That's
okay.
how I'm seeing it.
I was,
Is it how were you seeing it, Heidi?
no, just totally different. I don't know. I probably should have read it a few more times.
We all come into this without reading. We just, or I do.
Yeah.
I just printed off this morning and look at it the first time when Drew's
But I
reading it.
think those kind of things are like, you're going to interpret it the way God wants you to interpret it.
Oh, it's back to that again, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah. There's two really ways to look at this, I think. I'm sure there's more, but one is that it's providential, that there's a will of God that wants it to be this particular way, and that's what happens. You've got another view of this that could say, Chuang Tzu, you're full of shit. I make my own decisions based on the best information I have. But yet, even though I do, it still works into something good. Now, it says that the man is different. We don't know what happens for the man after that. But it's as if he has some advantage for being different. I don't know. But I'm just looking at my own life. I can see how those things work into something good. That's why I was talking about that. So who knows? I quit trying to figure this out a long time ago. Oscar?
I think what he's saying is that we all suffer. So the marsh pheasant suffers because he has to run all the time to get a little bit of water, and he has to walk for a long way to get a little bit of food. But still, in his nature, he's very okay with it, and he prefers this over being in a cage with food and water. So he is okay with his suffering. But human beings are not, this is not the way we look at the world. So he's making a comparison between how human beings work with this, and we think it's our self will that can determine our happiness. But when you look at nature, okay, in nature, this little bird is suffering and it's working very hard and it's having a hard time, but he is free in his heart and also not in a cage, literally free, but also in his heart. It's a happy animal because that's the way heaven wants him to be. So it's a part of heaven that he suffers. So even if we distinguish good and bad and say, okay, all things are working for good, we are in the human realm with a human vision, right? Because who the hell are we to say what is good or what is not good? We cannot take credit for being able to decide what is good and what is not good. So in heaven, the laws of heaven are beyond good and bad. And I think that's why making the separation between the first part is about man and the second part is about nature, to illustrate where man is wrong.
So is it safe? Go ahead.
No, it's okay.
So is it safe to say, Oscar, that we're all one-footed?
Definitely, of course. We all have our things. We have sickness in our lives. We have dead people, friends, ourselves. All kind of things happen. All our foods get chopped off at a certain time in our lives. And it's always because of we went into politics. He went into politics 20 years ago and now his food is cut off. And Chuang Tzu is saying, okay, if you look at the whole, if it's one thing, everything in this present moment can only exist of all the things that were before this. And that's the way of heaven. So the way of heaven is only in the present moment. It's not a cause and how do you say this? Cause and effect.
Yeah.
It's a human delusion that there is any cause and effect.
Now, I want to figure this out. I want to know why. I want to know the reason. But what I'm hearing is that I could pull some big book into this one, actually. Let's pull a Amy.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. That I thought the best thing that worst thing that could happen to me was my alcoholism, but it turned out to be the best thing. That's what I was thinking the whole time.
How did that turn out to be the best thing for you?
And he goes on to say, if I don't know what's good for me, then I don't know what's good for you. Remember, you know that part in the book?
Actually, I
Like,
was looking at that story, Heidi. I was looking in that
yeah,
story when you mentioned that. Go ahead, though. And
yeah, we don't know what's good or bad for us. And I don't know, it reminds me of, what is that other story where like the story of the dude's son getting like not going into battle, and he was like, you must be so happy, and he's like, oh, so, and like
the
everything in
farmer, the
life is,
Taoist farmer.
Dallas farmer.
yeah, like it's an also for everything. That's hard, man. That's really hard to. I was reading in one of my yoga books today about having non-attachment, a non-attachment to the outcome of things, because our brains just want to categorize. That's just the nature of being human, as a survival instinct. But the book also says that we have instincts that have like completely gotten out of control. So I think it's like reining in our minds to not categorize our lives into like good and bad, and to see it all as it's all of God. And that's all, like you said, like up to this present moment.
It's more and more about where my feet are, what's in front of me to do. Quit the trying to figure that out. If I start thinking about it, how can I find gratitude for that? Bring me back to the moment. How can I find gratitude in this? Always does. Thank you, Heidi. Brian?
Yeah, I was just thinking along those lines. I had a moment the other day. Or let me back up, man. When I hit my bottom, I was in a real mess, and it's an absolute miracle that I didn't take my life, and I'm grateful for that. But fast forward 15 plus years of recovery and therapy and just all kinds of work that I've done. Man, I have those moments where I hear people that aren't in recovery and doing things that I used to do. And it just, I don't know, it just brings me a lot of gratitude that I do my best every day to not be that way anymore. And at the same time, it makes me sad to see somebody that's struggling that doesn't really know that they're struggling, but they have their own higher power, and they've got to get their own willingness and realize that they have a problem. And so it just gives me a lot of gratitude that things worked out the way that they did. And at the same time that there was a lot of things that I thought was really bad that they did work out, that I'm really grateful that they didn't today, because my life would have looked a lot different. So what I got. Thanks.
Thank you, Brian. I found that quote, Heidi. It starts at the bottom of 417 in the fourth edition, big book. For years, I was sure the worst thing that could happen to a nice guy like me would be that I would turn out to be an alcoholic. Yeah, for real. Today, I find it's the best thing that has ever happened to me. This proves I don't know what's good for me. And if I don't know what's good for me, then I don't know what's good or bad for you or for anyone. So I'm better off if I don't give advice, don't figure I know what's best, and just accept life on life's terms as it is today, especially my own life as it actually is. Before I judged myself by my intentions while the world was judging me by my actions. Yeah.
Buddy, what page is that?
417, 418.
417. Okay.
At the very bottom of 417.
Okay.
So instead of trying to figure out, this is how I'm seeing this. Instead of trying to figure out why, one, I can be okay with those things for me, if I can find gratitude in some way, that draws me back to the moment, because I can only express gratitude right now. I can only show compassion right now. I can only receive compassion right now. I can only experience God in this moment, no other time. So that gets me back to the moment. And then I open my heart to how can I be helpful right now? What can I do helpful in this moment? How can I honor you guys in this moment? You know, that's that's how I can be helpful right now. And just continue with that wave of the moment. And then it doesn't matter, was it the chicken or the egg? It doesn't matter. Does not matter. We don't, and even if we had an opinion that we could express and say, that doesn't mean it's right. We, that's the thing. You can't, it's not about proving things. It's about learning how to live in this virtue that this path is about. And it's the virtue that gives us the peace and joy. It's not these other things. Drew?
Like you, I think this story is a good example of living in the moment rather than living in fear. The pheasant, grouse. If the grouse was totally living in fear, it would never take steps away from where it was, because there could be a predator there. There could be something lurking around the bush. But it does what it needs to do, even though there's a chance that something bad could happen. So, how I apply that to my life, just think of the times when I didn't ask somebody out because I was afraid of rejection, or I didn't play the game because I was afraid I'd lose. So I just didn't sign up for that baseball league or something. Afraid no one will like my art, so never put it out there. Afraid that if I open my own business, nobody will patronize it, and I'll have to shut it down. Living in fear can just shut down so many possible avenues of happiness. Maybe not success. I've known people who ran their own businesses and weren't successful at it, but they were happy to have tried. They were happy when they were running their business, and it was really challenging, and they had lots of setbacks and, I guess, what we'd call failures. But they were, like you said a while back, much happier that they tried than never having tried at all. So that's something that this reminds me of, is just the joy of taking the risk and doing what you feel called to do, rather than thinking of reasons in the future why you might have regretted doing this thing, so you don't end up doing it. I know for me, when I've lived my life focused on avoiding suffering as much as possible, that creates its own kind of suffering. There's no way around suffering. When I've tried to make my life as free of suffering as possible, that just leads to lots of loneliness and sitting around and not doing anything and just shutting off all avenues of being alive. So that's one of the morals that I'm taking from this story.
Thanks, Drew. And also, it's the flip side. We're talking about taking the risk in our lives, and most of us have done that in ways. It's about not having to do that if that's not us, too. See, there's a flip side to that.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean that one's better than the other. It's about really looking at what is your purpose in life and going about that, instead of thinking you've got to fit some mold some way to that's more outside of yourself. If that makes, see, for me, I can take you by the house. I can take you by the house right now, actually. where when I was a kid, we rode by in my mother's red B210 station wagon, and the house was vacant. And I thought, somebody should take that house and fix it up and sell it. I was like 10 or 12 years old. I don't know. And from that point on, I wanted to do real estate. And so the first thing I did when I had the money was start buying rental houses, because that was the plan. I've usually made money when it's been related to real estate and lost money when I made money in real estate, then put it into other things over the years. So what I'm saying is, if we sit down, as far as a purpose goes, for me, the important thing is to sit down with a legal pad, do what I do to still my mind, and sit and ask that I see what my next step is and what I'm to do, what my purpose is in this moment, kind of thing. And if you get past, what your mama said you should do, what your friend did and made a lot of money, what these people think you should do, you can get down. I think all of us have a purpose of some type, and sometimes the purpose has nothing to do with vocation, but there's something there, I think, for all of us. I think we all have a place. And I think the important thing is finding that place. And we're going to make mistakes with that. And when we do, I know that just like water always runs downhill, my life is going to work into something good. I know that. All I can do is the best I can do in the moment. And so I take the pressure off when I'm thinking in that way. And there's an element of that here too. Don't sweat it. Should I turn right or should I turn left? Does it really matter? Just turn. Just go. That's kind of the way I look at it. It's important that I'm seeking. If I'm seeking, I'm going to go in that way of, I'm going to be following gravity eventually if I did, but I need to keep that seeking heart. That was good, guys. Thank you.
I enjoyed that.
Yeah.
Anything to add?
Nope.
Now, it doesn't say what he ended up doing. It just says that he's different, as if it's a good thing. So live life uncaged, whatever that means to you.
Ooh, I like that title.
Live
Yeah,
life.
it's a good one, Drew. Thank you. Live life uncaged. Yeah. Take the fear, get rid of that cage of fear and find your purpose and love your way in that direction. That's what the virtue of the path is.
You find your purpose when you stop looking for it.
Just do what's in front of you to do.
Yeah, exactly. And you do it in peace, with attention and with a peaceful mind and attention, as good as you are possibly can in that moment. And then it doesn't matter what comes out of it because you're happy all the time.
That's exactly it, Oscar. That's it. And if if there's something there I need to be doing specifically, I think that'll show itself, and that'll start evolving. That's the path. That's part of the flow. It'll start happening. And when we're doing those things, we can be helpful in that too. We can be helpful in everything we do. I'm amazed every time we read one of these how that something comes out of it good. I don't know why it still surprises me, but it does. All right, guys, y'all have a great week. Hopefully see y'all next week. Thank you.
Hello, this is Buddy C. I wanted to make you aware of several recovery-related resources that I've posted in the episode description. These resources include a list of recovery podcasts, a free sober meditation app, daily recovery email, shared Google recovery calendars. Hope you put some of these resources to use and have a great week.
Thank you for listening to the Tao of Our Understanding Recovery Podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, please share it with your friends in recovery.